Hello, guys. Welcome to the Are You Saved Though podcast. This podcast is a young Christian's take on the 21st century world. We'll be exploring what it means to be saved in modern society. So I hope you enjoy.
Look at what we made of love. Always been my dream to fall in love. Not like they show on the movie screen. That love's a corrupted fantasy, only built to serve my selfish needs. Made of love. Can we go back to the way love was intended to be? Look at what we made of love, so off track.
Hi guys, tonight is podcast number 3 and we're going to be discussing absent fathers. I'll introduce tonight's podcast speakers. On my right here I have
Mike.
and I am Tara, and we're going to take it further. Tonight we've decided to discuss absent fathers as we know that it's affected some of our lives personally and those around us. There is a report from 2013 from the Centre of Social Justice that says more than 1 million children in the UK currently have no contact with their father while they are growing up. Figures were expected in 2013 to be growing. This figure was to be expected to be growing by 20,000 a year. So this is a topic that is affecting many people's lives, and we're just gonna try and discuss it tonight and hopefully help those who are going through what it is like to live without a father.
Definitely.
So, Jay, do you want to open this up for us?
Yeah, so my own experience, I guess I would kind of start off with is that I think when I was about 3, I think my parents split up. So I lived with my mum and my older sister, and yeah, there was just the 3 of us there. And I know as a young boy, like not having a father figure around or just men in general, like it affected me in so many different ways. I think especially concerning my identity as a man, and also just, you know, not like I remember talking to my cousin who's also it's on my dad's side as well. He didn't grow up with his dad, and I remember it was me, my sister and him, and we were just talking, and we was explaining to my sister that it's like we had to learn how to be men. Like you know, we had to kind of search after it and seek it out ourselves of, okay, what does it actually mean to be a man? Like, how do I do, even if it's just like simple things like how do I manage my money, you know, like finding job and like just, you know, because I think as well in society in general, like they have a bad perspective of what it means to be a man. Like they just don't know. So like I know a lot of my friends, not so much me. That's why I'm kind of glad I grew up around women, because I'm able to express what's inside. Like a lot of men have trouble expressing their emotions and stuff like that because it's been suppressed. Because they've been told to man up, or you know, you're a wimp, or don't cry, men don't cry, and stuff like that. So again, it goes back to what I was saying in the sense of it was a lot of identity issues. Like for me, it was a lot of insecurities, even going into like sexual sin and stuff like that. Like because it was like that. I don't know. It's just
Creates a confusion.
yeah, because you're longing for love and you're trying to fill the void, but it just gets perverted and you don't know where to seek after it. So it goes every and anywhere. I guess it's different for everybody, but that was kind of a piece of my story or my experience of it. But it's definitely I didn't know it affected my life in such a big way, but I think it was when I got saved and I was just randomly talking to the Holy Spirit, and he actually brought me back to that, and that was the root of it. So
Yeah, and I think one point that you said there is about being, sometimes I think we forget to also look at the benefits of being raised by women, and you said about being able to talk about your emotions more. And I think it's important because there is such a high number of male suicides simply because men just do not talk. So sometimes we do always highlight negatives, but yeah, I like that we looked at a positive there.
No, definitely, because a lot of my friends, like, yeah, it's so weird. Like, for me, it's like it's normal for me to kind of do it. I'm really kind of grateful for that. But for them, to put it into words, they don't know how to communicate how they feel, and I think that's why girls in like relationships, sometimes they're like, why is he not saying like what's on his mind, or or you'll get a girl and she'll open up herself completely, and then the guy doesn't, and she's confused why he hasn't also given himself. But it's like he hasn't received love in order to kind of give it, and then he just doesn't know how to communicate his emotions. So yeah.
So you mentioned some of the practical things that affected you by not having a father. So you say like not really. You say something about finances and stuff like that. So is that something you would have expected? Obviously, your dad to take you through the process of, so this is how you put some money away, or this is how you take care of your. Or you mentioned relationships. So in terms of finances and relationships, did you find you didn't understand how to treat a woman, or because you grew up with a woman, did you think, okay, I know exactly how to treat women?
Yeah, like for me, it was a lot different. It was weird. Like I got saved when I was 16, and I feel like God's always, He's always been with me, but I just obviously wasn't conscious that He was there. But because of the things that my dad, I heard that my dad did, and he later on confessed to me that he did them, like just in the sense of like cheating and stuff like that. Like as a young boy, looking at that was okay. I kind of viewed it as okay, I don't want to do that, so let me not do that. So I remember I even vowed to not have sex until I was married. And as well, like growing up around a lot of girls, so I saw the after effects of when guys would be silly and do stupid stuff. So I don't know. I even say it today. Like certain girls have a certain place in my heart, and I hate seeing girls cry. I hate seeing that. So bringing it back to like relationships and stuff like that, I took it the opposite way, in the positive, and was like, okay, that's something not to do. So I'm not gonna do that.
What can I learn from this?
But yeah, go back to finance. Like I think just in general, in the sense of managing it, I think it was just something. I feel like you're like God the Father, like He gives us our identity. I feel like a father's there to give you your identity, especially as affirm you in who you are, and teach you certain things, and teach you how to operate and move in the world.
Yeah. But I think it's also important to highlight though, because as much as my father I've had my father in my life, and I have seen the benefits of him being at certain places. Like I can remember week in, week out, he was there taking me swimming, and I just turned my head and he's there watching me, and all those things. I know they do a lot for a young girl growing up, but there are also areas that my dad didn't necessarily teach me, and I know therefore hasn't actually taught my brother, which finance probably could be the best. Like he wasn't the greatest. So I think it's important. Sometimes we put pressure for us to say, absent father means this, that and that, not to diminish anything that you said, and not to say that fathers should be playing those roles, but I think, there is an expectation of what the greatest man and the greatest father should be, and sometimes even those that are in our lives, there's not every area that's covered, and I think that's a point to kind of note, because also it's about people realising that actually you're not deficient. That there is a source. Ultimately, our source is Christ. And when you come into the kingdom, when I came into the kingdom, I began to all the areas of my life that were deficient. I began to learn of those things from different people within the body, and my own pastor actually taught me about finance. So, yes, yeah.
So one thing I want to discuss. So you've taken. Luckily, and it sounds like even before you were saved, you understood what your father did and didn't want to be like him, and so you took it on as a way to learn a lesson. But unfortunately, it would seem the majority of people, I'm not saying it is, but it would seem that the majority of people don't necessarily take it that way, and a lot of the crime, a lot of the murders, a lot of what we see in the streets apparently are, you know, taking place because they say men don't have good role models in the home or have their fathers. So I really want us to discuss, what do we think, what is the reason why men don't want to father their children?
I think it's like, it's so weird because I was even talking to my other friend the other day about marriage, because he's getting married at the end of this month, and he was saying how he was nervous and stuff, and I was like, why? No, like, I know obviously everyone gets nervous, but it kind of, as we dug deeper, it was not being able to live up to that role, so he felt insignificant in himself. And I think men in general, like even myself, I've experienced it when I've been in a relationship, like it scares you of kind of having that responsibility there, because it's like, can I do it? Am I able to live up to that? And it's where you haven't had, again, that affirmation and that confidence as a man in general to then step into that role. So I think it, as you do in fear, you run away.
Yeah, I'm going to step in from a female side of
Okay,
things.
go ahead.
Because
that's what you hear.
I do ultimately think that role modelling is very important, especially in, you know, male species. And I think you know, if you've had a good role model, you can say, okay, that's how my father done things, so I can do things, and I turned out pretty decent. But I do think there are just generally some men that just don't have any sense of responsibility, just think they can go from Anna to Eve to say no more.
Shakira.
I think it's lazy. I think it's obviously this. You know, if we go back maybe 40 years, even to be a child out of wedlock.
It's taboo.
We don't hear that term anymore. Like, you know, you can meet some guy and he's got 10 children with 10 different women. So it to me it's.
So you're saying society has played a role in making it okay to have children out of wedlock, and not only that, by extension, to be an absentee father.
Yeah.
Oh
yes.
yeah, definitely.
And I think as well do our laws and our policies. Look at when you go through to courts with divorce. The father is not seen as someone that could take full responsibility of the child. And I think that in itself, it just feeds into society that, you know, it's the woman's responsibility to ultimately raise the child. The man just brings home the bread.
What about the welfare system supporting single mothers to the point where it could almost be beneficial? And then you have in America, they have the child support, you know, the whole child support scam thing, where if you just hook up with a guy who's got some money, all you have to do is have a baby by him and you can be set for life. You reckon that is a thing?
It is a thing. I've heard people not too far removed from me in terms of associates that
in this
country that will have children to get a house or to have children to get the benefits.
Mercy.
But
you hear that, brothers?
To me, that's not necessarily a male issue or a fatherless issue. That's maybe your own personal ambition that lacks.
Okay, but here you're saying it's not a male thing. But okay, you say you're one of these guys, and you know. You're sleeping with a woman and you ain't trying to have no kids with her. She knows that, you know that, and she has a baby for you, and you never wanted to have a baby with that woman. Now, you should, obviously you're going to say, you know, we're not dealing with safe people now. You shouldn't be sleeping with that girl if you don't love her, but this is the real world. There are many people in relationships who are not necessarily trying to have kids. So if you are that guy who had a child with a woman you really are not interested in, is that a reason why a lot of men are like, well, you wasn't really the one I loved anyway?
I wouldn't say that's a lot of reason. I would say that you should have kept yourself and done something to stop having that child.
Yeah, but it's all well and good saying that.
If the child is here, you have a responsibility to raise that child. It is half you. It's 50% you. I don't know what the statistics are.
But if you think about it, he's looking at it from a point where I hate that woman now for what she's done. I didn't like her that much in the first place. She was just, you know, a thing. So he's like, boy, that baby ain't really... I'm not making it right, but I'm saying he could look at that baby and that could just be a point where it's like, boy, I'm not even trying to have anything to do with that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because it reminds him of a mistake almost.
I'm sure there's cases like that, but I think once you see a human being, you have to then think, okay, like you have to put yourself aside. For me personally, the issue is just it's, to me, marriage creates security, okay, and that's why I think it's so blessed of God, because it brings balance.
Well, not really anymore. I'm not saying it's not blessed of God, but it doesn't really create security anymore because divorce is on the rise.
Well, okay. But
in the ideal world,
it
was meant to.
How God has intended it to be, and it just avoids as much as possible kind of things going wrong, and for those child's life and how fulfilled they will be. And
I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't agree with the first bit of you said in the sense of people just being lazy. I think that does play a part into it, but I think every action and every behaviour that you give out or that you do, it comes from a belief or something deep rooted. I feel like, so for me, like my whole like, you know, pornography and all that type of stuff, like I feel like that was rooted in me trying to, I don't know, it's really it just got perverted, you got what I mean? Like it was my longing. I wanted love, but it turned to lust, and it just came out in that form. So I think a lot of guys, like why they're promiscuous and all that type of stuff is
they're looking for something,
and then they don't want to be alone. So, and then obviously when it comes to like having a child, it's like what? It's even more, and I think it's just fear. It's fear.
But this all then goes out of when you look out of marriage. When you have the union of marriage, it avoids all that stuff.
See, I'm going straight back to what you said. Like, so I agree with that. I agree with that.
So
completely. But,
so lazy. I'm not saying that's the only reason why men aren't in their children's lives. I just think that there's an element of freedom that men now have, and that they can. That it is acceptable that you can have a child with a woman and you're not really in that child's life. It's just, I think society makes it up like that.
Okay, so since we all come in from the safe perspective now, so let's deal with some scenarios of safe people who find themselves in various sides of the situation. So it could be, as you said, I'm a young man, I've just got saved and I never knew my dad, but I hate my dad.
Oh, I didn't know.
How do I go? How do I deal with those feelings of I never knew my dad, I don't like him, but I'm now saved? Like, what do you think? What encouragement would you give to someone who just they might not even hate their dad, but they just never had it? Like, what would you tell them to go? I mean, obviously, you know, go to Jesus, but practically.
For me, I was kind of blessed because I never knew it was my dad, so I never blamed my dad or my parents even in that sense.
Yeah.
I never had unforgiveness towards them, but again, I do know people that have gone through it, and I would always say, and what I've seen is that it's so good to understand. Like that's my thing. I understand why someone has done something. Like what's your mindset behind it? Why have you done that? Like, and I think for my dad, like if I go back to my granddad, like he wasn't very affectionate. He wasn't very kind of like, I don't know. He just
typical old Caribbean.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I think, although I think my uncle had it worse than my dad, I think they loved my dad. But again, like
you became empathetic with his
exactly,
his situation.
Because I feel like he wasn't fathered right, so he doesn't know how to be a father. So it's just like the blind leading the blind. So I would always get that person, like understand where your father's coming from and the lifestyle that he's lived and his parents and his growing up and bringing up and stuff like that.
But and the only so obviously you obviously have to look beyond your current situation of the hurt that you're feeling for your father and think, okay, what has my father experienced as to why my life has now turned out like this. But I think when we're looking at terms hate and unforgiveness, ultimately, there's only one place that forgiveness lies, and that's within yourself. And you have to take control of your will and forgive, because otherwise you won't progress and you won't, and you could end up in the very same cycle yourself.
So you mentioned about you didn't know why you did certain things, but you came to realize it was because of not having that father figure. So there's a lot of things so that when you come to Christ, he might bring out in terms of trying to purify you that you didn't know came from, not having a father. Do you reckon it's key for someone who is new, not even necessarily newly saved, but who's been maybe even been saved a long time to maybe go back to God and say, God, is there anything in me that because I didn't have this father that you need to root out and deal with, because I don't know, but if it's there, I mean, by even listening to this podcast, I might be saying, oh, maybe I am like that because you said you were seeking for love. Do you reckon, maybe we have some sisters who never had a father who seek for love in the wrong way? You said you did it in the wrong way and you're a male, so do you reckon it's something that people should actively even search out? So you said you spoke to your father and you got an understanding. You're saying that's something they should actively do, and even if they can't do that, obviously speak to God and maybe he, the Holy Spirit will speak to you. But is that something you would recommend that people do?
Definitely. Like, if I'm honest, I feel like a lot of the issues that we deal with now, it stems from our childhood and stems from just our upbringing. So definitely revisit that, and if your father not being there or being there but not being present, like it was an issue, then it's definitely gone, like shaped who you are. You may not know, but it's definitely nice.
And to add to that, I think when we go through things in our childhood, sometimes we take on things that are a lie. And for example, I don't know how to be a man because I haven't had a dad in my life. That is a lie. But what happens is we tell ourselves that subconsciously all the time, and we go through life and we begin to live like I'm not a man, which may cause some people to go and take up different lifestyles that God has not called them to do. So I think it's also important that because some people may not have access to their dad, some people may not have the opportunity that you have, and sometimes if our physical layer and our emotional layers are so damaged, we can't even get to that inner spirit, which is our communication with God. And I think sometimes it's important, even like talking therapies or counselling, these things help because they help you to get into the deeper layers of you and to address maybe some of the issues why you're acting a certain way and to get to the root of them. And it's just about addressing it.
Yeah. Just before you say something, one thing I always do, I didn't know there was a name for it, but like I journal, and whenever I journal, I write all my feelings out, and then I write the truth concerning it, because like you said, like there's those feelings like I said before, you believe in something, and 9 times out of 10 we always believe in a lie, and then we have to couple it with God's word, and it's called truth journaling. I didn't know it had a word to it, but that's something so important to do. Like this whole summer, last summer, like I've just gone through a season of being by myself, and I've been being able to process a lot, and those types of things is what brings the healing.
Right, and I think sometimes if a situation arises and you think, okay, where has that come from? And if you can get to the root issue, and it is about acknowledging what that lie is, and again, like you say, proclaiming and declaring what the truth is on that situation. I am a male. I can be the husband I need to be to my wife, and the father I need to be to my children.
Because it is a truth. Sorry, what did you say?
I got lost in what you were saying. No, that truth journal thing, that's interesting. I might have to pick that up.
Definitely, trust me.
I've been alone for a long time. I've got a lot of time in my hands.
Trust me, it's really good. And like, I've noticed God speaks to you. And, like, I didn't even...
He reveals things.
That's what I mean. I wasn't like necessarily writing the truth. I was writing what God was saying to me, and it was the truth. So
wow.
Yeah, so definitely.
So would it be fair to say, and it might sound like a sweeping generalization, but if you have grown up without a father, there are characteristics that you're going to have that you need to go to God to, regardless of how perfect you may think you are, regardless of how good your Christian life is. There's going to be a time when some characteristics are manifesting that are there because you did not have it the way God wanted you to have it.
100%. I'm always revisiting those places and searching myself, because I know, like, there was a period of time I grew up around a lot of girls, and I was becomes feminine. Do you know what I mean? So that there was all those types of things there, and I was just like,
And that's something I wanted to get to actually, because does growing up without a male role model feminize men? So you hear a lot of these things. Well, there's a couple of my friends were saying that, you know, a lot of these shootings are taking place because these men are acting emotional rather than logical. Now, women are emotional, men supposed to be logical, and a lot of these shootings are happening over nothing because these men have been grown up by females and they react, and they're always in their feelings rather than weighing up a situation and saying, hold on a minute, if I kill this dude, I'm gonna go to prison for 20 years. But because they're in their feelings, they start pulling the trigger. So do you reckon there's a lot of, well, they don't even necessarily have to be gay, but they act in female ways because they haven't had that man to show them that that's not a logical way of behaving. That's not to say women are irrational, but they are obviously made to be emotional. Much more emotional than men.
Generalizing, saying it like that, because I think
I mean, it's not the case for everyone, obviously.
Again, like I get what you mean, but then I think where God has sorted through certain things, like he's now, I love God because he always uses what may seem ugly and makes it a beautiful situation. So in those times where like am I emotional? I just express myself a lot. I think I see the good out of that that's come out of it, and it's allowed me to now relate to a woman, but then also relate to a man and be like, where men have that trouble of
that hardness.
Of expressing them. It's like men do feel. Yeah. Men, like everyone has emotions. I think just as human beings have emotions. So, your question.
I mean, it's not the case for everyone, but it is a real thing that a lot of these young boys are probably in their feelings too much.
If you think about it, the reality is a man and female provide a balance to a child.
Yeah, so let's talk about the balance.
So when that balance has then is now unbalanced, it's only natural that, for example, a 4-year-old, if he's telling off his action man, he might put his hand on his hip because that's what he's seeing.
So he was like, Jesus!
So I think it's only natural that the dominating figure in your life is going to be what you naturally become. I think it's a decent theory about them acting in, especially with gang and knife crimes and gun crime. Like, that could be a very good theory in terms of acting emotionally. I think it's a little bit more deeper than that, but yeah.
So because of this imbalance, and I'm just going it back to the Christian experience, if we or anybody is listening to this, and it might not even be that you didn't grow up without, you know, a dad or a mum. You might have had both of them in the home, but they can't provide you everything. It doesn't even matter how saved they are. They can't actually give you everything because they're not perfect. Yeah. So we always need to go to God for something. But if you have definitely grown up without that figure, there might be some, I don't want to say extra searching like they've got more work to do than anyone else, but some direct questioning to God, like, God, okay, you need to show me some things because now I realize there's a space or there's a balance that wasn't there that I need, even for my own children, because I think, you know, you said that your dad may have carried some stuff from his father, and I think that happens in all families. We all carry things down the line. But in order to not carry on the sins of our parents, we kind of do need to check ourselves. And I think even if you're saved and your parents are saved, I don't care how filled they are, they didn't all do it right. So I think we all have to check what didn't we get from our parents that we need to give to our children, especially in this day and age, because it's a completely different world we're growing up in now. And I was saying to some friends that I wouldn't allow my children, or if I have any, to go to school until they're about 7 or 8 because I want to indoctrinate them.
You are so like me. That's exactly what I wanted to do.
Oh my goodness, I was going to say like he's the only person like
No, because
my friends will say that. I've said it to them since.
What they're trying to teach the kids in school, especially early years now, with
7 years.
Exactly. I think we as Christians should be indoctrinating our kids to the point. And I say indoctrination deliberately because it sounds like brainwashing, but they need to be brainwashed because the world's trying to brainwash them. The world is trying to tell us that Caitlyn Jenner is a woman and she gets a woman award. Like, I sending my child to school to learn that. When he gets to school, he needs to be rebuking those children who are saying that I don't know if I'm, you know, if Ben is going to school at 6 and saying that he's Caitlin or Karen, my kingdom child needs to be able to take authority over that. No, it's serious. And it sounds deep, but it's serious.
It's because you said my kingdom child.
It sounds mad, but no, seriously though. Okay. My kingdom child needs to be rebuking that in the classroom.
No, in a way with empathy for that person though.
With empathy, but that demon needs to leave. I'm sorry. It's
so going back to absent fathers.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, and again, I feel like we are picking a bit on you tonight because it's coming from the experience side of things. But I think an important thing that people deal with, that probably who have had absent fathers, is the feeling of rejection.
I definitely felt. Oh, of course, yeah.
And I think that's such a stronghold and a bondage for people. And so
and trust that comes with that, not being able to trust because you've been
rejected,
and at such a young age, I guess.
So what I suppose, what does rejection feel like? Because people may be feeling something, but they can't pinpoint on what it is, and how does it look, and also how did you feel? Yeah, and how did you feel with dealing with rejection?
Mine, I feel like mine's just so messed up. For me, again, like I wasn't aware that this was my dad. Like I would, as a young child, I just received everything as being me, my fault. So it actually made me reject myself.
Wow.
And then it affected my relationships with other people, and especially like I remember in secondary school, like in the sense, remember I said I longed to have like best friends and stuff like that, especially being a guy, because it's just like I wanted to have that security that like what everyone else is saying in the sense of, oh, you're a girl and da. Like, no, I'm not, because I have my best friend here. And I noticed even in that those friendships that I had, and even led into like university, like I would just take that what they would say as rejection, and it's weird. It was really weird how now coming out of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's so embarrassing. But it affects your relationships with people. Like you emotionally depend on them. You want them to deal with your problems and stuff like that. But then when they don't, it's like, again, that feeling of rejection. And then I guess for me, I kind of I needed emotional healing from that thing.
So when you're in a state of rejection, do you ever feel satisfied? If any other male figure became, whether it came in the form of a mentor or a pastor or a brother or an elder, would that have ever been actually fulfilling? And then where does that sense of fulfilling now come from?
I think you build a standard, and no one meets that standard the way that you would have them to.
Can I just interject before you finish that? Did you make bad choices in friends because of that? Did you try to cling to people who, if you were, say, not in a state of rejection, if you were, say, a bit more balanced, you'd have been like, I ain't dealing with that person?
I think before I would say maybe, because the person that was like I was really close to, like a situation happened and they stopped talking to me for like the whole of my last year, and they were just a very aggressive person in general,
right? And
I noticed through that friendship, like I had become slightly aggressive, or I was going that way, and I had to kind of stop myself. So
So going back to then what I was saying, how would you say that you're now fulfilled?
Obviously, I'm still on my way, but I've noticed that the only person that's going to fulfill that role is God, like solely. I know it sounds so cliche, but again, what you said, like in the sense of the deficiency, like where your parents haven't covered absolutely every area. I think now like God has to cover those areas for me, and if I'm honest, I'm not at that point exactly where I feel completely fulfilled, but I know that it's something that's going to take time to come to that place.
I mean, and if you're completely fulfilled, then you'll be hanging on the cross saying it's finished. Not too much pressure. But yeah, I suppose for me, if I was looking for and seeking for help, I think rejection is such a key thing, and that unfulfillment. And I think even you said I'm not quite finished yet, that it hasn't. I'm not quite fully fulfilled, and I just think it's important for us to get the message across is that it takes a journey, but it's continually about searching yourself, and I mean not to take kind of the responsibility away from what fathers should do, but ultimately if a father doesn't want anything to do with your life, you then have to start looking at yourself, and you have to then find out, do you want to make yourself the person that you want to be, you know? And I think that's the key thing, because you could just continue going through life actually not being fulfilled ever, feeling rejected until death, but there it is, you can begin to kind of redefine yourself.
And I think that, like, from what you're saying, like, I think the main theme from like fathers being absent and stuff is just the whole identity, like
an affirmation.
Yeah, like for me, like I've found healing and kind of restoration in finding out who I was, like in God, and that's through through God actually telling me and you know, pointing out to me and highlighting those attributes that He's put inside of me that are beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, because
we're all going to be questioned on that day, right? As all these abilities that I've put in you, you know, you're not deficient in me, and all these abilities that I've put in you, what did you actually do with them? And yeah, so I suppose it's really important to be aware of what the issues arise because not having a father around. But you have to then, I think, make that decision to say, do you know what, I will not be defined by that, and I will be what I'm supposed to be in Christ, or even as an individual, people that don't have the relationship with Christ.
It's funny, on the subject of affirmation, I always say to the young people, in life, every human being is going to disappoint you, and disappoint you in a way where you would think, how could they do that? Like the closest person to you, at some stage is going to disappoint you in a way where you're going to look at them and be like, I can't believe you did that. Now, I say that because I've had two parents, married for over 50 years, but I do believe, especially in older Caribbeans, they have a problem with positive affirmation. Like it's a problem in our community. I think it's, and I've gradually become to understand it, like from where they're coming from, like just post-slavery great-grandparents and grandparents, they don't really know how to positively affirm children, really. And so growing up, I always felt like, it's going to sound funny, I didn't get the credit I deserved for certain things I did. Now, whether I was right or wrong, that's just the way I felt. And so growing up, like I was like, okay, when I got my GCSEs, I felt like it should have been a bit more of a celebration. Well, fine, okay. Got a degree. I feel like you guys should kind of got started to get a good job. So I got to a point now where I did things. I was so motivated to be successful, but it wasn't like proving my parents wrong, because they never said anything bad. It's not like they never positively affirmed it, but it was to the point where when I did achieve something, I wouldn't even tell them. I'll get a new job, I'll do something really good, I just wouldn't tell them, because for me, like the gratification came from, like I began to self-affirm, and I'm not saying it's a positive thing, I'm saying it got to the point where now I've done stuff that your average person would be like, invite the whole family. I'd invite maybe one or two of them. And I had to come to the realization that obviously some people will just never have the capacity to be to you who you want them to be. But then also, at the end of the day, as long as my Father in heaven is affirming me, that's all right. Because, you know, we sometimes, people will positively affirm us, so we don't really If you say I'm good, it's not. But if that person says I'm good, oh, that's, you know what I mean? So it's like we sometimes are always looking for certain people to be certain things to us, and they just never will be. Like, what if that dad who you wanted to be that is never going to be that dad you wanted to be? How do you deal with that?
And that's it, because I mean, I know a friend who, you know, parents raised in the church and, you know, come from a good, stable upbringing, and still took a wrong path in life, an extremely wrong path in difficult times. And it is that because there was something that he felt he wasn't getting from his dad, that he feels why he ended up the way he did. And so yeah, there's an element of, whilst our parents have a great responsibility, you know, parents in general have a great responsibility, there has to come a time, which goes back to what I said about we stand before God, because there has to come a time where we then take the responsibility to take control of our own lives.
And you can carry these things. You can be saved, and not to say that you're not saved, you can be saved and still carry these traits. It's like 2 years ago, I started a business and I did an exhibition, like a photo exhibition. I didn't even really tell my family. That's on me. Like, I shouldn't be carrying that. I'm just going to do me, and I'm going to be a success by myself, and I don't care who wants to come, but as long as, you know, a couple of people are coming. Do you know what I mean? But you carry these things and you don't even know, and they can be a hindrance to your relationships. Definitely. And like I said, you're saved and you're fine, but there's still something inside of you that will carry these things. So like, I think it goes back to what we were saying. We always have to search ourselves, because everybody's going to disappoint us, and some people will never be who we want them to be. So we have to make sure that we don't carry behavioural traits and let it affect our lives, because you know, that's definitely probably affected my relationship with my family, and that I'm just very like own way. I do my own thing most of the time. So it's something that we live and we learn.
There was just one scripture I wanted to read, because I've noticed throughout my whole walk, I don't know why, whenever I stepped to or came across this psalm, the Psalms 139 verse 23 and 24, it says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart, try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way within me, and lead me in the way everlasting." That was something I always used to pray, and I need to continue to pray now. But I always used to pray that, and I remember during that time that I was praying that prayer, that was when God revealed to me the root of the majority of my problems in that sense. So it's important to allow the Holy Spirit to search your heart.
And ultimately that does come through prayer and fasting. So much comes. I mean, I remember, this is slightly off topic, but I think relevant in the sense of showing the hidden things that are within inside us. I remember there was, when my mum passed, I would only dream bad dreams about her.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, it got like, this went on for years, and I was like, Lord, I cannot take this no more. And I went on like a week fast, and God revealed that I had unforgiveness in my heart towards her about something. And I remember I went through the struggle of saying, like, how do I, and this is the same thing, because if you have an absent father, how do I forgive the father that's not there? I was like, how do I forgive a mother that's dead? You know, and the Lord told me, you know, you have to take control of your will and say, I will forgive in Jesus' name, kind of thing. And from that day, I never had a bad dream again. But it is, you really do have to spend time in prayer and in fasting for God to really start to reveal those hidden things as to why. And a lot of our behaviours and our characters can stem from the fact that we haven't had a father around, and it's difficult times.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap this up. I think what we're trying to say is that really it all does come back to Jesus and your relationship with him, and the closer you do get to him, is the more he'll reveal to you about yourself. And you know, the closer you get to God, the further you realize you are away anyway. But the closer you do get to him, I guess he reveals the hidden things, the stuff that we don't, because I was saying, she didn't even know. So there's some things that we have that we don't even know, like we behave in certain ways and we do certain things that we don't even know why. And you didn't even know why. You said you didn't know why until after.
Yeah, and I think it's important that you seek help from the right sources, you know, find out people that have been through similar experiences, and it's about, but for me, this message of absent fathers, as much as fathers have a responsibility and many are failing, there's got to come a time where you look at yourself and say that I have to now redefine myself. I have to be the best me.
Yeah, your Heavenly Father will never let you down. But as you said, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. So if you're ever in doubt, always seek a spiritual person. So Jay's going to finish for us.
Last scripture as well. Psalms 27 verse 10. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. So we remember in our old church we always used to always used to recite that.
Is that so good in our old church? Huh? We shouldn't say in our old church.
Oh, you said it now.
Sorry. Yeah, always used to recite that whole Psalms, and that was one thing that stuck out. Like, and it was nice to know that although I know they're not perfect, and I know we're all on our way to that place, whether you're saved or not. Well, if you're not, but what was this? Yeah, you will. Then you know that the Lord is going to take that place, because ultimately He was the first father.
And He created you.
And I think for anyone that does feel kind of unloved or deficient or anything, the whole Bible speaks about the fatherless. So He is crying out for you to love you, because He has more love for you than maybe even the likes of those that have father, because pure religion is this.
Yes, get in contact with the Father.
Take care.
All right, see you guys next time.
When I say I